So, how's 2024 treating you so far? Can we be grateful that we're not in 24 inches of snow and double-digit below zero temperatures? Yes, we can. So we began this year with the Burning Bowl, where we released those things that we determined didn't serve us anymore. And then we had a way to set our intention for the White Stone ceremony. But what does it mean to live with intention? Did you ever think about that? We say we're going to set our intentions, but what does that mean? And for me, it's about examining our why. Bringing awareness to your why. You know, I don't know about you, but I sometimes live my life on autopilot. And I often don't stop to ask myself why. Why do I spend my time the way I do? Why do I continue on the path that I'm on? Why do I believe what I think I believe? Why do I act the way I act? Why? Intentionality is choosing to act in a way that is deliberate, that is thoughtful, and in alignment with your core values. It's not about being perfect. It's often about missteps and mistakes, and a lot about course corrections. You know, I learned something once that I found really inspirational. You know, you get on a plane and you think the pilot's going to fly from here to there, and the whole time he or she is in the air, the whole thing about flying a plane is to constantly correct. Constantly correct, to adjust for the air temperature and the wind and whatever. So they're in a mode. I really like that because that's what my life is like. It's about constant small little adjustments and constant corrections. And sometimes when I don't pay attention, I get smacked upside the head. And then I have to pay attention. And then the corrections look a little bit bigger than they did at the beginning. So how do I do this? And you know, one of the things I love about Unity, and I loved about Unity from the beginning, is that it's very practical. It has built into it what I like to call a so what factor. So if I can't figure out what I'm going to do with all this stuff that gets thrown at me, why? But Unity has as one of its core values, as one of its core principles, the law of mind action. And what it says is that ideas held in mind will bring into your world that what will match what you're thinking. So the other thing that we learn from the Bible, which is Unity's basic textbook, and although we don't take it literally, we do take it metaphysically. One of the things we learn from Jesus, our way shower, is that when he was going to do something, when he intended to do something, he took himself away. He went away. He went into the desert for 40 days. He went to the top of a mountain for a while to get centered, to think, to listen, to check in with his head and his heart. And so we're invited to do that. And so one of the things that I did as I was going through this and trying to see where my 2024 was going to take me, I decided that I would try and identify what for me were my core values. If I'm going to live with intentionality and I'm going to live in alignment with my core values, what are they? And so for me, at least at this point in my world, it is to be a lifelong learner, to treasure my relationships, and to get and stay in touch with nature, because that heals me. So I'm going to give you a big data dump now. And I'm just going to talk about different ways that you can figure out how to set your intention for this coming year. Now, we're all compulsive, I know that. So it's not about doing all of these things. It's not about doing most of these things. It's about picking one or two and see if they resonate with you. Sit with them in prayer and meditation. And And start small. Small little steps, and be open to making corrections. So, first thing is to know your core values. What are they? What drives your train? The second thing, this is a tough one, is to declutter your space. Clear your stuff out. Because, again, if you live in a cluttered environment, your brain is cluttered. Your senses are cluttered. There's too much stuff. There isn't room for the new. There isn't room for the air. So declutter. Third thing is be intentional about how you spend your time. Do you spend a whole lot of time watching TV or playing on your devices or streaming stuff or constantly checking your email? I learned something this was about 6 months ago. There was an article in Smithsonian about the fact that people who multitask are not very effective. And those of us who think multitasking is the way to go, it's really a false premise. So just look at that. Look at how you're spending your time. Be intentional about the media that you consume. Pay attention to what you watch and what you listen to and what you read. And I'm not saying you shouldn't read and listen to things that are different from the way you typically think, but be discerning, because it takes up space in your heart and your brain. So pay attention to your media. Sit in silence for a designated portion of the day. People are really uncomfortable with silence. And it was interesting because in my meditation, I built in periods of silence, and I could see people every once in a while opening their eyes. Like, just checking out, like, has she walked away? Is she still there? Yeah. So get comfortable with living in silence. You will hear better. You will hear your heart. You will hear the messages you're meant to. You will hear your inner wisdom. But you have to shut up. And you have to sit still. Delete, and in sort of in tandem with that is delete the noise that's in your life. I actually know people who keep the TV on as background noise, or are always have music on, or always walking around with things plugged into their ears all of the time. And yesterday I had to make a quick trip out to the ranch to make sure I turned the heat on in the house. And I decided I was going to drive without the radio or without listening to a podcast, which is usually what I do when I drive. And it was interesting because I saw things I hadn't noticed in a long time. And so I invite you to do that. If you have a tendency to put background noise, and I call it noise because you're not really listening to it. If you want to listen to music, then sit down and listen to music. Be deliberate about what you do and how you spend your time and how you spend your energy. So the other thing is to identify what your unique skills are. Each one of us is unique. Each one of us has skill. Each one of us has talent. And you know what? Unity doesn't buy into any kind of false modesty. So, if I don't want to hear anybody say, I have no talent, I can't do anything. You have talent, you have special skill. Figure out what to do with it. Figure out how to celebrate it. Figure out how to spend time with it. So maybe it's you like to write. Or maybe like Shar, you like to compose. Or maybe you like to sing. And, it doesn't matter if you sing well or not. But if you like to sing, sing. Play the music, perform for the mirror or whatever. Just sing. Make time for creativity. Your creativity is a gift, and we tend to devalue it. But make time for your creativity. Make time for your hobbies. Make time for things that when you do it, you lose track of time. That's sort of one of the clear indications that you are really engaged, is that when you're doing that, you lose track of time. All of a sudden you look up and it's like 2 hours later. It takes exercise to do that. Tonight, constantly go there, this, the phone, shut off the alerts on your phone, shut off your computer, don't check your email, just be. The next one is interesting one, especially if you're a shopper, which I'm not, but ask why before you buy. It's so easy now to get online and just do, Amazon Prime, and I want it tomorrow, or I want it this. I have a neighbor who expects that afternoon's delivery of things that she buys. And there are always Amazon boxes on her front porch. Like almost, I would say probably on average 4 out of 7 days, she's got a box or a package sitting on her at her front door. But I have a friend who did something that I thought was really interesting. For every new thing he brings into his house, he gets rid of something. So if he buys a new shirt, he give it away, sell it, or whatever, throw it away, turn it into rags. But for everything, if he brings in a new book, he gives away a book. If he brings in a new CD or a piece of music, he gives away a piece of music as a way to work toward decluttering his life. Next one is to get enough sleep. Our brains heal and pattern when we sleep. It's how what we think we know, what we think we've seen during the day, what we think we've learned, actually gets embedded in our deep memory. And that's why I know teachers are really concerned about how much sleep their students are not getting these days. Because they don't have, I don't know, I'm not a computer person, but it's like it doesn't go to permanent memory if you don't sleep. And it's your body's way to restore. So try and get enough sleep. And in tandem to that is prioritize self-care. Get enough exercise. Indulge. Go get a massage. Exercise. I just came back from a vacation, and it was a wonderful vacation, but the thing I liked best about it is I got to go to the spa every morning on the ship, and every other day I got a massage, and the days I didn't get a massage, I got a facial. So give yourself the gift of self-care. You deserve it. Whatever that looks, maybe for you it's making a cup of tea and sitting down with your kitty in your lap or your dog in your lap and just being. But take care of yourself and give your soul time to restore. Okay, this is a big one. Learn to say no. Or at the very least, learn to say not now. How many here have a to-do list? Great Unity folk, right? The to-do list. So here's a suggestion. Divide your to-do list into 3 separate categories. Things I have to do, things I want to do, and things other people want me to do. And then decide how you're going to prioritize that. And sometimes the other person things take priority, but most of the time they don't. And they often take priority over the things I want to do, because the things I feel like I have to do sort of get bumped ahead. Breathe. I mean, really breathe. Not breathe from here, breathe. Breathe from here, breathe. And I, after COVID, I have a sister who's a doctor, nurse, PhD nurse. And one of the things she sent me during COVID was the breathalyzer things they give you in the hospital. And she said, even if you don't have COVID, even if you don't, use this every morning to learn how to breathe deeply. It will keep you moving forward and your lungs clear out. It works. It's got this little thing that goes up and down. And so breathe. Breathe deeply, breathe consciously. Don't hyperventilate, but bring yourself to a place where you realize what a gift your breath is. That you woke up this morning and you're breathing. is a gift. Okay, last thing, at least in this section, is be aware of your words. And realize that once something is said, it can never be unsaid. So be judicious. I'm one of those people, it's in my brain, it's out my mouth. So this is this is one of those practices that for me is a real test of character. But be measured with your words. And if you can't say something nice, my mother used to tell me, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And I'll admit it now. I wouldn't have admitted it then, but those are pretty wise words. Just start. Choose one or two things. Take baby steps. Check in with yourself every day and set a practice. Now, I'm going to share with you. I know that I told you at one point that my end of the day practice is I have a gratitude jar box that I throw every day. I write a little what I'm grateful for. But I decided I needed something to anchor my morning and to sort of help me set my intention for the day. And I'm a person who needs structure, so I needed something concrete. And I will say thank you, Reverend Laverne, because when I shared this with her, when I told her, this is the alphabet thing. So I decided that if I took a letter of the alphabet and every day I would have a different letter, and that would get me through 26 days. And then at the end, if I had a couple of extra days, like forgiveness needs more than one day, gratitude needs more than one day. And I was going to put them on index cards. And Laverne said, I'm not sure that's going to work. And it's like, okay. And she was right, because the first 2 days I dropped the stack. Because I do it in the morning before coffee. So what I did was I put it in this little spiral book. See? And so and this is appreciate, and that's build something. So I went down the alphabet. This is how I spent my New Year's morning and coffee. I went down the alphabet, and I'm just going to read you the alphabet. There's nothing magic to any of this, but it's a great way for you to sort through what you think your priorities might be and to sit with them every morning. For a few minutes, give you a little focus. So the first is appreciate, build something, connect, do what is difficult, choose to do something difficult, explore, forgive, gather, hug a tree, ignore the skeptics, just be. Imagine having that as your intention for the day. You're just going to be for the day. K, know you are loved. L, listen. And remember, the same letters that are in the word listen, same letters are in the word silent. So listen. Make something, anything. Make a cake, make cookies, make a dress, make a painting, make a picture, make a poem, make a plant, whatever. Just make something creative. N is nourish your body and soul. O is observe. Look around. Look around for the small things, like a piece of grass that's grown up between the concrete. How beautiful an acorn is and what potential it has. Just observe. P is plant a seed. As you know, I'm an outdoor person. I love gardening. I love plants, so I plant. Q is to question everything, everybody, what you see, what you hear, what you think. Just be in that open, inquisitive, questioning mode for the day. And that includes, why am I doing this? Why did that show up? Why did I say what I did? Just question it all. R is read. S is stretch. Those of you who have pets, do you ever notice my kitties in the morning when they wake up, the first thing they do is go through these contortions, especially because it's now cold and so they sleep knotted up. They wake up and they just stretch and they're ready to start their day. T is to try something new. however that looks for you. U is to unplug. V is to vote. Now, I need to tell you that when I got to the end of the alphabet, I had to like really scramble for things. So V is to vote. W is to wonder. X, I cheated, express your gratitude. Not just have gratitude, but express it. Tell somebody why you're glad they're in your life. Express your gratitude. Y is to say yes. Say yes to an adventure. I had a call from a friend the other day who called and said, "You want to have an adventure today?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Okay, I'll come pick you up. I don't know what we're going to do, but let's go have an adventure." And we had a great day. We drove down to Galveston. We took the ferry over to Bolivar. We walked on, and it was great. But it's because I said yes. And the last one is Z. And that was get enough Z's, get enough sleep. That's all I could think of. That's all I could think of. So anyway, that's my alphabet. That's my plan for the year. Steal it if you want. Use it if you can. But remember, this is a quote. We tend to overestimate what we can do in a day and underestimate what we accomplish in a year. So thank you for having me. Namaste.